Okay, cool. Julie's in the car.
Just
All right,
coming.
so let's go ahead and start.
Oh, right. So we
Yeah.
will.
See if y'all can see this image
Mhm.
of the wave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to read something about the guy who painted that, Hakusai.
Hakusai.
Huh?
The poem called Hakusai Says.
Okay, let me silence everybody so we can get a good
How? Oh, Quran.
listening. Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
So remember, he's a painter, and oftentimes painters, photographers, poets teach us how to see. That's why we love them. They get closer to the pure energy like that wave. Van Gogh loved that wave. They were contemporaries. He said you can feel that wave like a claw sucking at the boat, just wanting to consume it and destroy it. And of course, he was a lover of energy too. And for those of you who are new, I'm of the opinion that I don't believe in the separation of spirit and matter. I think spirit is energy, matter's energy, just different densities. So part of it's learning how to see that, how to let the form of the energy disappear and see what's behind it, the interconnected field of energy. Hakusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention. Notice. He says, keep looking. Stay curious. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. Just get more of who you really are. That's interesting Eastern view that as we age, we become more of who we truly are. We let go of the pretenses. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself as long as it's interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to love with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees. Wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside of us. He says, live inside that world that's inside you. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees or the grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. And here's the line I want you all to hear. Contentment is life living through you. That is an extremely powerful line. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Love. Feel. Let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. Let life live through you. So that's very much what I've been talking about the past few weeks, is to begin to sense at the level of our bodies when we start resisting life living through us. What we call problems, what we call struggles, what are really the way we're at war with life, the the way we don't want to just let it pass through us. And that comes from judgment. And we were going to do a reading, Linnell is going to do a reading from Alan Watts, again, the backwards law, this idea. Today we're going to look at why we don't make judgments, why judgment is the beginning of a problem. And it's because the minute you start preferring one part of life over its opposite, which is why I wore this shirt, you automatically suffer. Because one of the fundamental parts of Taoism, of the Eastern religion, is that you can't separate light from dark. You can't separate up from down. You can't separate yin from yang because they create each other. They emerge together. The old story of the chicken and the egg, which came first? They didn't come first. They emerged together. They emerged simultaneously. So this Western law of causality, this Western law of one thing causing another, separation of matter and spirit, separation of good and evil, all the distinctions that we've been taught, and we've been taught to prefer one half of the equation over the other, is the root cause of suffering. And it's suffering not because there aren't things that are preferential in terms of what I do with my day. It's that I block the flow of energy, the life force energy in my body. And that blockage creates dis-ease. If you look at the word, what is dis-ease? It's lack of ease. What is the suffering? And the first noble truth, all life is suffering. It's the dis-ease that comes from judgment. The primary cause is judgment and preference. So Alan explains it much better. Linnell's going to read one of his
extended version
of the backwards law.
Alan Watts argued that trying to feel only positive emotions is like trying to have a coin with only one side. The pursuit of constant happiness is the very thing that makes you miserable. And once you see why, you stop fighting half of your own experience. Watts taught that life is defined by polarity. You can't know joy without knowing sadness. You can't experience victory without knowing defeat. Trying to have one without the other is like trying to have up without down. They create each other. They need each other. Remove one and the other becomes meaningless. The manifestation community gets this dangerously wrong. Only feel good. Only think positive. Any negative emotion will ruin your vibration. Watts would say that approach is guaranteed to make you anxious, because now you're afraid of your own feelings. You've added a new fear, the fear of feeling bad. His reframe was radical. The bad stuff isn't blocking your good stuff. It's creating the contrast that makes the good stuff good. A meal tastes better when you're hungry. Rest feels better after hard work. The low points aren't obstacles to the high points. They're the launch pads. Watts used the metaphor of music. A song isn't ruined by the silence between notes. The silence is part of the music. Without the pauses, it's just noise. Your difficult periods aren't interrupting the melody of your life. They're the rests that give the melody its shape. The practical shift: stop labeling emotions as high vibe or low vibe. Start treating all of them as information. Anger is telling you a boundary was crossed. Sadness is telling you something mattered. Fear is telling you something significant is at stake. None of them are wrong. They're all data. Watts would say the most aligned person isn't the one who only feels good. It's the one who can experience the full range without clinging to any of it. Let joy arrive without grasping. Let sadness arrive without drowning. The river flows in both directions, and the person standing in the middle, letting it all pass through, is the one who's actually free. Learning to stop fighting half my emotional range was one of the most freeing shifts in my entire journey.
So we've been talking about freedom. And some of you that I see individually, you actually take notes. We had an extensive session on what is freedom. And it's not freedom from external restraints, which is what we think of in adolescence. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. I don't want any authority figures. I don't want anything external. And that's not the freedom that these writers are talking about. It's the freedom to. It's an internal freedom. It's the freedom to not resist whatever you're experiencing right now. So again, think of it as simply energy. Energy is neutral. It's not good. It's not bad. It just swings between polarities. It has ups, it has downs. And our bodies are designed to respond in positive or negative ways to that. But that doesn't mean that we have to let that chain reaction continue through our bodies. So what we're doing when we meditate, and I'm directing your awareness in your meditations, we've gotten in touch with the sensations the energy creates. We've spent almost a year talking about learning to experience sensation as energy hitting sensory organs in your body and becoming sensible to you. Okay, now I know what the energy looks like. It looks like color, it looks like sound, it looks like touch, because that's how my body can receive it. Okay, now we look at how the body responds to that tightening. And again, someone gets my teaching, it keeps ending up on the shelf. The expansion, the contraction, again, the polarity. It's happening in your body all the time. Where is it happening? It's happening in your fascia. It's that layer of interconnective tissue in your body. And information moves through the fascia faster than electricity does. It's a quantum mechanics, not an electrical mechanics or biological phenomenon. And so the whole philosophy of the East is this is health, this is illness.
Health, not hell.
Health.
Health.
Yes, health and health. This is health, this is health. So what a difference.
Two letters can make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your body, if we tune into our senses, begin to notice how that energy causes this. There's no guilt here. There's no shame. You can't interpret it that way because this is happening at the level of your brain stem. The energy hits it. It automatically classifies it as positive, neutral, or negative. If it's positive, it's going to start grasping after it and wanting more. If it doesn't like it, it's going to start resisting it. If it's neutral, it's going to let it go through. So you can feel this. It's not a concept. That's why it's so important in meditation to get past. There's no way to study meditation. What you do is you tune yourself to subtler and subtler energies in your body to allow them to move through you more fully, because that is sacred energy. So we'll talk about that. What choicelessness? It sounds like, giving up to us, and that's what one of my people brought in. So what's the difference between despair, just giving up, and this surrender? And it's a huge difference. Because one, I give up with anger and resentment about having to give it up. If I have to give up sugar, I'm not happy about it. I feel pissed off. I feel victimized by it. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a joyful, a willingness to surrender this thing. Why? Because I know that that's what's blocking the experience of joy. That's what's blocking my experience of peace. So if you're in a place where I'm resisting those so-called negative emotions, the ones that are more difficult for us to let pass through, that resistance is what's keeping it in. So learning how to go from this to this, to soften, to open, is the right thing. Now, how does that relate us to life? Everything around you is in constant change. And Pema Chodron derives this from Krishnamurti and other writers, the idea of groundlessness. We want something that we can count on. We want something dependable. We want our sense of safety to be in our ability to control the world. So we don't realize that that's why we want to know, why does this happen? Do you ever ask yourself, why is it so important that I know why a person did that, or why this is happening? The only reason you ask that question is so you can control it, so you don't have to experience it, okay? I can figure out a way to avoid it if I understand it. You can't avoid life. You can't understand it. You don't know. Subatomic physicists tell us it's all about probability. We're looking at an ocean of potentiality that doesn't come into existence until now, until we perceive it. Boom, now it's happening. We're co-creating it. Well, so is everybody else. So there's no way to anticipate what we're co-creating next. So understanding that life is not something to be understood. It's something to be loved. It's something to be lived. It's something to have a relationship with, like a lover. We talked in Dorothy's group this week about mystery. What does it mean when we say Yahweh is a mystery? It means that he can't be understood. God can't be named, can't be understood, but can be loved, can be lived with. So the whole Old Testament is the story of how they've lived with this thing that they called God. So the whole sense of what you're doing in your life begins to change when you begin to see it as an ever unfolding river, that its energy is expressing itself through you, like Hakusai said. Let life live itself through you. Allow it to live itself. No right or wrong, just energies, and let them flow through and flow out. And see what happens. So these are mini experiments. When you sit, see what happens, not a big loss if you can't do it, and might gain something if you can. So we'll start the meditation and play around with that. See if you can feel that happening in those subtle energy channels, the constrictions and the expansions. So I'll ring the bell every 5 minutes to bring you back. What am I inviting you back to? Where's the constrictions? Where's the expansions? Are you grasping? Are you bored? Are you avoiding? What's going on? So drop into your body. Doing a body scan, top of your head to your toes. Developing a language of how energy feels internally. As it hits your body, does the energy feel vibrant or dead? Can you feel the movement, or does it feel stagnant? Does it feel warm or cool, open, closed? Just noting without judgment. That the body's in constant flux. Does it feel full or empty, fluid or rigid? All these polarities are simply ways that your body responds with resistance or with openness. Spacious or dense, bright or dark, chaotic or orderly. How is your body receiving the life that's flowing through you this moment? And then this, and then this. If you've drifted off, bring yourself back and just reestablish the practice. But notice where you ended up. Did the attraction or the resistance lead to thought, lead to emotion? Lead to the future or the past? Where did you go? Getting carried away by the stream and dumped somewhere. No blame, just active curiosity. perhaps you'll catch the moments of resistance where you harden against the flow. And this is the creation of ego, what we mean by ego. Imposing my preference on the flow of life. Trying to make life about what I'm comfortable with or uncomfortable with. Trying to change the world and the people around me instead of widening my tolerance of the sensation. Softening and simply allowing whatever energy is here to be experienced as fully as possible. For some reason, I was reminded this morning of a meeting that we had. I don't know, Brad, if you went to see Muktananda when he was in Chicago, but our teacher, Vasavada, arranged a meeting of our people with his people. And it was at Lake Point Towers. I think that's the correct name. They look like a shamrock. And I was late because being ADD, I'm always late. And I get up there, and it's in these people's private living rooms, and the living room is twice the size of our barn here, about 40 by 30, looking out over Lake Michigan, and everybody's all lined up in these neat little rows, and they got the men on one side and the women on the other side to keep the energy straight, the Shakti in the right order, and everybody's looking so good. They're sitting so well. And I'm sitting in the back feeling like a total imposter. I'm about to jump out of my skin. I'm so nervous and wanting not to embarrass myself or Vasavda. And I look up at Muktananda, and he's wearing his saffron robes, and he's got on an orange hunter stocking cap, and he's wearing his shades, and he's sitting in his chair, and he's fidgeting everywhere. He looks like he's tweaking. And I said, if this son of a bitch sat down next to me on a bus, I would get off at the next stop. I wouldn't embarrass him by going to another place. I would get off the bus. And he starts talking, and he doesn't have very good English, so he's got a translator. And he keeps cracking these jokes that no one gets. They're not funny, but he is just having a great time. And I'm sitting there with cognitive dissonance that's about to drive me crazy. I'm going, what the hell is going on here? And then I got it. We were all trying to pretend like we were holy people. And we were inside, we were total nutcases. And he's sitting there looking like a nutcase, and he's totally happy. And that's so contradictory to what we think it's supposed to be. And so I just wanted to give you that visual of what maybe someone who's really free looks like, in that he wasn't trying to create an impression. He wasn't trying to teach. He didn't care whether people got it, didn't get it. He was just up there enjoying himself in this strange environment in a foreign country. So that's the way I feel every day I wake up, by the way, people. I feel like a stranger in a strange land. I know a lot of you can relate to that. So what you all got today?
I was on a train one time, and we were going to Chicago to see Bruce with my sons, and they were little. And so the seats were in fours, two and two across from each other. So I put them together, and I sat by myself, and this guy in a drunken blackout, there wasn't anywhere to sit but by me, sits there, and all night long he keeps falling on me. And I keep pushing him off, and he doesn't even know I'm pushing him off. And this was going on all night long. By the end of when the morning came, I felt like we knew each other really well. I was okay. It was like a brother.
Gotta love it. Oh my God.
But I'm wondering, it just came to me, when you're in meditation, you've got oh my God, is my mind in the past? Or oh my God, is my mind in the future? But sometimes I'm in an environment, and it's beautiful, and there's different shaped things. It's just pure creativity. Is that imaginal? Would that be considered imaginal?
You're really on, and maybe some people who've done this a while, like Brad or Hansa can answer this, because it comes up a lot, which is what's the difference between the flow state and a meditative state? Because they're both very pleasurable. And I always ask people, where are your feet? And when you're caught up in it, when you're totally immersed in it, you've lost your body. And to me, the body is such an essential part of the whole thing, because it's the receiver. It's what's grounding this energy. It's what's allowing it to flow more freely through you. So I just encourage people to stay anchored. We ignore first, second, and third chakra at our peril. We want to get into ecstatic states, and most of the teachers warn you against that. Uh, they are different parts of the brain that are getting activated, but for me, it's essential to keep that sense of anchoring in the present moment. I don't know if anybody got a different answer.
It is just like really relaxing.
Yeah. Well, the flow of energy is what we're looking for. We don't realize it. So that feeling of emptiness, what are we empty of? We're devoid of the energy, that life force energy. We're looking for stability. Why are we looking for stability? Because we're not grounded in the energy. We're looking for affirmation, for a sense of belonging, of, of participation. And that again comes through the connection with the flow of energy. I'm a mountain, I'm rooted in something. I'm not just out here by myself. At war with the world. I'm expressing something that's fundamental and true. And having that sense makes life so much easier. You're not trying to earn it. There's no striving. There's no absence. There's nowhere to get that's going to be better than where you are at that moment. If that makes sense to people.
I'm writing a story, and no, I find myself for hours in the story and not in the real time. And I have discovered what helps is if I just write it down. If I write it down, then it's out of my brain. However, it comes back in different versions. I continue the writing, and that helps a great deal when my mind is drifting. Otherwise, it just kind of releases the power of those thoughts.
You touch the screen and it'll zoom out and by.
Well, it looks like you're in a phone call.
Yep. So, Hansa, did you have something? Thank you, Dorothy.
I just think, I'm sorry.
Hansa, did you have something? Okay, I just thought.
My only comment is learning to accept the moment, because Bart, you used the term at one point about expanding our window of tolerance or our window of awareness. I'm going to use it. And how do we expand and say, wow, in this moment, I'm feeling nature and I'm a part of nature. In this moment, I'm doing this. And where do we realize that every one of those things is passing through without making it right or wrong?
Right.
Go to where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to rest in nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we just need to write a book and let those thoughts flow. And I'm sure Agnia, when she does that, she has very inspirational things because that's what's being channeled. And we have to remember, we're just a channel for Shiva Shakti or for the divine to come through. And there's a physical piece and there's a spiritual piece, but in reality, they're one. And
I love it.
Different.
I love it when you say Shiva Shakti.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, that's the essence. We're spirit and nature, but we're dancing together. And when we make one of them wrong, then we're making the other one wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to realize that this is just a moment. It's just that window of tolerance. Where can I be with it? And is it all okay?
And
Hamza, I loved when you said in the moment, because the whole thing of surrender right now, you know, I felt like I've been working so hard to recover from this accident. And if I surrender, I don't want to surrender yet. Maybe this is as good as it gets, but I want it to be better. You know, I don't want to need oxygen later in the day. I don't want to need oxygen when I exercise, but I do. And so that acceptance and surrender in the moment is okay.
Yeah.
And if this is as good as it gets in the moment is okay.
Yeah.
And it still enables me to have grit, I guess, to keep doing the hard physical therapy and doing the more difficult things that I'm being asked to do to get better. And I had an interesting thing. The worst thing, my doctor told me I had an X-ray a couple weeks ago, and I had a virtual call with my surgeon, and they're doing X-rays every 3 months. And my GP told me they will like this because they will be looking at the hardware.
Yeah.
And the hardware is in place. And so sure enough, I was prepared, because the hardware is in place, and they were very pleased. And I said, well, what about bone growth? And they said, we won't know about that for 9 to 12 months. Don't fall, and other people have told me the worst thing I can do is fall. Well, I'm a faller. So I think of Watts a lot because my physical therapist even told me, and I know this, the more you tell yourself not to fall, the more apt you are to fall.
Absolutely.
So what a conundrum.
I know. I
Yeah.
love it. The reason I started laughing is because one of my friends just had her hip replaced. So they get her up to walk, and her hip dislocates, and the femur goes about 6 inches past where it's supposed to be in.
On the day of the
On
surgery.
the day after the surgery. So they put her in again and redo the surgery, and he uses the same cup and just puts in 3 extra screws. Well, she's been walking around for 6 months in agony, but they all go, the hardware looks good. She has a tear in her gluteus maximus, gluteus minimus, gluteus medius torn off, and the cup was 2 sizes too small for what she needed for her hip joint. So they finally got it straightened out this week. But they kept telling her everything's fine.
The hardware
it's
looks
my
good.
biggest problem with Western medicine is they're looking at the test and the fucking hardware instead of the client. We need to change that because your body's telling you something. But here's a takeaway, and this is where we were probably going to go because this is on my mind today. Why did the Buddha go off on his quest? Does anyone know? The guy's got family, he's got power, he's got wealth, he's got prestige.
He saw suffering.
What form did it take? What were the 3 things he saw that he goes, oh no, this is unacceptable?
Death.
Suffering,
Death,
suffering, death.
death, old age, and disease. Okay, look at your screen, folks. We got a few young folks, but for most of us, what's slapping us in the face every fucking day that rolls? You've got another friend who's died. You've got another disease that's just started, right? You're dealing with another aspect of aging. We are hit with grief over and over and over again, and we are going to have to get very skilled at grieving if we're going to enjoy these golden years. It's one of the primary truths and realities, and that's very much what I see us doing is letting go. You use the word recovery, and that's such a word that drives us and makes us suffer because you think you're going to get back to something you had before. I'm never going to get back to 20. I am never going to get back. They told me after my surgery from my motorcycle wreck that I'd never walk again. And I've run marathons. I never ran them under 6. Well, I did go under 6 minutes a mile, but not under 5 minutes a mile. On a leg, they told me I couldn't do it and was a competitive power lifter. So, but did I ever recover? No, I never recovered. That's not even a possibility. But what is possible in this moment? There's a lot that's possible, even if you can't recover.
Well,
So I find aging is helpful with meditation with all of what we're doing because you know it could be today or tomorrow, right?
And
So to me Somebody's trying to call me right now. Sorry. You know, it's like it's just loving kindness. I'm always the same saying the same thing. It's just letting go and loving kindness towards everything. And when you can do that, you can be in the moment.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just
that's the only way I can do it. It's the only way I can find it.
stay open, keep moving towards life. Don't close off and withdraw. That's when you die.
I think it's all a part of learning to let go of the physical world, because eventually we're going to be in the spiritual world. And if we're attached to what we are or what we think we should be,
Thank you.
you know, how do we say, oh, I'm learning to let go of my preconceived ideas of life? And how do we embrace those moments as, wow, this is my step forward into non-attachment.
Yep,
Mhm.
exactly.
Wait.
Wow. Yeah.
Good book on that is Ram Dass's books, Still Here. His first one was Be Here Now. And then, he's old. He's had a stroke. He couldn't talk. He'd lose his words a lot when he lectured. But he very much said that's the job now, to quit identifying with the physical and see that we are energetic beings. And we're just going back, transitioning. Can we still say transition? Trying to take away my favorite word. I'm always in transition.
Yeah.
What does that make me? I think I'm I everything. That's what I'm trying to teach. So let's own. What do you say?
Everybody. Good one. All right. Deep breath in.
Make an ugly noise to the Lord. Wow.
Wow.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
You too. Thank
Bye,
you, Brett.
everybody.
You guys.
And what was the
Bye.
name of that first poet that you were reading?
That's
First,
called
okay.
Akusai Says.
Hokusai. Hokokosai.
K-U.
Kusai.
And it's written
Hokusai.
And
And
Linnell,
that-
you were reading Watts, right?
by Roger Keyes. K-E-Y.
Keys. I think it's
K-E-Y-E-S.
the name of the.
And the Alex Watts was, where did you get that from?
That was
That's from one of my Instagram things I pulled off.
It's the backwards law, but it was like an extended version, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was on a thing called Infinite Synchronicities, and it was posted on May 25th.
Okay.
But the
All right,
sign-
I gotta go take migraine medicine, y'all. You made my headache worse.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all our fault.
It is.
You know what that tells me? It's not a migraine. It's a tension headache. You relax. What's happening?
Either way, I need
all
drugs.
the blood flow's actually hitting your brain now. Your brain's going, I ain't ready for this.
Go,
Yeah,
go
exactly.
find your Nurtec or your Brelvy. I'm telling you, it's there.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Sherry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.